The GOAT. A title that has been discussed many times throughout basketball. A debate that has been talked about for many years. There is a question that will always come up though. Who is the GOAT? To me, the GOAT debate has been something that has evolved over the years, and it has had its positives and it has had its negatives. While the GOAT debate has been great for fans to debate on who was the greatest to ever play the game of basketball, we have been able to weigh in our 2 cents to show our basketball knowledge and get into arguments with our friends on who the greatest is. It has also spiraled into a toxic battle between fan bases and the media not having the smartest things to say. And at this point, it has gotten out of control. Recently, there has been this movement dubbed as "We Are Done with the 90s", as people all over NBA TikTok have taken it upon themselves to watch old games from the 90s and cherry pick certain lowlights and critique everything.
We really gonna talk about it. They was really ass, bro.
Michael Jordan wasn't all that great compared to what we have right now.
Look at this shit, bro. Right off rip, we have the GOAT Michael Jordan hitting the side of the backboard with 17 seconds on the shot clock.
And to make matters even worse and more hilarious, people are saying that Jordan apparently had no left hand and he is just a Jaylen Brown with aura. And I just have no words anymore.
I've been finding all this really interesting because from what I've seen on TikTok, these games actually do look pretty bad. It does look like MJ can't go left.
Nah, he just dribbled straight out of bounds. He ain't got no left hand.
Y'all finally see what I've been trying to tell y'all for so long, right? This dude right here has no left.
And to be honest, this was probably going to happen either way, and we should have seen this coming. Over the course of maybe the last 5 years, we have seen the older generation constantly shit on the newer generation and say this era is soft, or say that this generation is just weak in comparison to the 80s or 90s. Just constantly old heads bringing up the 80s and the 90s like it's the golden age of basketball. The newer generation has had enough and started this movement of being done with the 90s. Now granted, they are not innocent because some of this is clearly biased towards a particular player who may or may not be a threat to Michael Jordan. Stuff like this have just taken the joy out of talking about basketball because people will unfortunately believe this and start adding more fuel to the fire and be a part of this issue. And honestly, even though people are saying that we're done with the 90s, it's only a matter of time before people start talking about the 2000s, the 2010s, and this generation. I mean, people are talking about the 2020s anyway. Point is, the GOAT debate has single-handedly caused a ripple effect where we just don't respect the old or new generation anymore, and the GOAT debate is all people talk about at this point. And honestly, it has gotten to the point where it's so out of control, I am just tired of it as a basketball fan. We simply cannot even enjoy the greatness of players anymore without hating on them and bringing up somebody else, or diminishing someone's competition or problem another, or simply say that if they played in a different era, they would be worse, or say that they're washed, etc. Which, I mean, let's not act like the 2000s and the 2010s and this current era does not have its lowlights either. The fact that people just choose to cherry pick the 90s and its lowlights, like, it's kind of ridiculous, and it's just hilarious that no one actually brought real facts into the matter and they're clearly just having confirmation bias. Now, I swore I was never going to make this video because I just did not want to add my 2 cents in, but if I'm going to contradict myself, then so be it. I might as well let everybody know what I think about the GOAT debate as a whole. And I'm going to give my honest and genuine opinion, so if that upsets any Jordan fans, then I am sorry. And if it offends any Kobe fans, I am sorry. And if that upsets any LeBron James fans, I am also sorry. Please do not attack me, it is only my opinion, and I just honestly ask all of you to respect that. And speaking of LeBron James
James with no regard for human life.
Somehow Irving back to James. Oh, James!
Right here.
LeBron James is a player who I have witnessed firsthand dominate the NBA for most of my life. He is currently still playing like he is one of the best players in the league, and I really don't know how he is still pulling this off at 39 years old. He has had one of the most incredible runs in NBA history. He has been able to stay consistent for 21 seasons and counting, and his case for being the GOAT is one that is very legitimate, and one could argue that he is. LeBron, when he was first drafted, was filled with so many expectations and hype, and all of that was exceeded by a mile. The way he could have folded under the pressure would have been understandable. I mean, this man came out of high school and was already filled with so many expectations that were honestly unfair. But the fact that he persevered was just insane in of its own. Are there reasons why people refuse to call him the GOAT that are valid? Yes. I am not going to go on a whole tangent. If you don't have LeBron as your GOAT, then that is totally fine. But that does not mean he does not have a case either. He has won 3 titles with different franchises and has had one of the biggest moments in the playoffs and finals especially. He's the all-time leading scorer. He's one of the greatest passers in NBA history, one of the most athletic people I have ever seen in my life. His longevity is something that honestly needs to be studied because the fact that he is able to keep a really, really consistent level for most of his career is just impressive. The man came back down 3-1 against my favorite team in the finals, and I witnessed that firsthand. That alone makes him worthy of being in the GOAT discussion, and I am tired of people saying that he does not deserve to be. The downside, however, is that his fan base, let's be honest, it gets a little toxic. While they have every right to feel the way that they want to feel, they do try to bash the older generation a lot. Anything basically before 2003 is just invalid when it comes to LeBron James fans, and it's just kind of annoying. They'll always have something to say about Jordan needing Pippen and saying that he was nothing without Pippen, even though LeBron could not do everything by himself. And let's be honest, it's a team game. If you're going to criticize Jordan for not having A, B, C, and D, then at least be consistent. That's all I'm trying to say. LeBron James has a case for being the greatest player of all time, and he honestly made that very, very clear after 2016 when he surpassed a different player. And with that out of the way, we can also talk about
The basket inside. Oh, what a finish.
Less than 5 from way outside. Got it!
He carved for human life. Bryant for the win. Bang!
Look, Kobe Bryant is one of the greatest players I have ever seen in my life. He is one of the greatest players to have ever played the game, and he's one of my favorite players of all time. The man is a 5-time champion. He is a 2-time Finals MVP. There are so many accolades that I can name, and honestly, it would make a long video in of itself. Before 2016, Kobe Bryant really did have a case for being the greatest player of all time. I mean, everyone collectively agreed that he was the closest player to Michael Jordan with his play style, his mannerisms, everything. Kobe Bryant was one of the greatest scorers in the 2000s and probably the hardest era in my opinion. He's probably one of the most clutch players in NBA history. His killer instinct was something to behold. And honestly, Kobe Bryant was just a one-of-a-kind player. The problem is that his fan base is a little annoying, and I have been guilty of this. We just have to accept the fact that Kobe Bryant is not the GOAT. He's not going to be in the GOAT discussion, and at this point, we all have to collectively just accept it. I mean, there was a recent video a couple of weeks ago about Rashad McCants saying that Kobe Bryant is the GOAT, and the reasons that he had for why he's the GOAT was very questionable in my opinion. LeBron James just has a better case for being the GOAT than Kobe Bryant, and there's nothing wrong with that. There are reasons why Kobe Bryant is not in the GOAT discussion, and that's totally fine. We only have one more player to talk about, and that player is none other than
MJ. Oh, he did it! And Michael! A spectacular move!
Jordan with 2 seconds to go, puts it up and scores! Open! Chicago with the lead!
Look, I have never seen Michael Jordan play live. I have only seen games, old games of this man playing. Michael Jordan is a one-of-a-kind player, and he definitely has done a lot for the game and has done a lot for his career. There is no refuting that. For his 13 years being with the Bulls, he made the Chicago Bulls the greatest franchise during the 90s. He revolutionized basketball. He's one of the greatest scorers ever, and he is one of the best to ever step on the court, debatably the best. And to anyone who has him as the GOAT is again valid in their own right. Jordan is a 6-time champion, 5-time MVP, probably the greatest clutch player anyone has ever seen. The man dominated the league for so long, and no one was ever able to really touch him as being the greatest in the league. And yes, he got bounced around in the first round in the 80s, and he lost to the Pistons and whatnot. But once the 90s started, no one could stop him, and we have to respect that. I know people are saying that we're done with the 90s, but even then you have to respect the greatness of Michael Jordan. But this is the problem with Jordan fans. They will always bring up the 6-ring argument whenever LeBron James does anything great. Like, the 6th ring is like the all reliable for Jordan fans, and honestly, it just gets annoying really, really quickly. They'll constantly criticize LeBron James flopping or his competition, and it really is just like white noise at this point. Jordan fans are not innocent. They really aren't, and they are a part of the problem as to why the GOAT debate has gotten out of control. I mean, remember The Last Dance and how everyone was just confirming what everyone has already thought and how they just went crazy after that documentary went out? Everyone was collectively saying that Jordan was the GOAT and LeBron was nowhere near his level. And we are still hearing that today. We are still hearing the older generation constantly say that Jordan is the GOAT. And again, they are right to their own opinion, but they really did start this "we're done with the 90s" movement. The older generation have caused this to happen by constantly hyping up the 90s like it's the best ever. They were the ones that started this, and now they have to deal with the mess that they started. But you know what? After everything I said about MJ, Kobe, and LeBron, it doesn't even matter. You want to know why? Because we will never stop having this conversation. Fans will never stop talking about who's the GOAT because of course they're not going to. It's all the media talks about. And it's unfortunate because at the end of the day, people will forever keep bashing the older generation and the newer generation, and no one will ever come to an agreement that anyone is perfectly fine of being the GOAT. What really matters is just this. We had to start appreciating greatness of players and respect the past and the present. We need to start appreciating everything that the league is doing. Even if there are reasons to criticize it, we had to just appreciate what is going on. We just don't appreciate players like we used to anymore. And we are just so quick to bashing anybody left and right. It has gotten tiresome, and I know I'm not the only one who feels this way. As a fan of the game, I just hope we get to a point where we can just appreciate instead of hating and constantly bringing up people's legacies. But at the end of the day, after everything I just said with Jordan, LeBron, and Kobe, now begs the question to anyone who click on this video as to who I think the GOAT is. Who do I think is the greatest player of all time? It's Bryant Scalabrine. Bye-bye!
Regard for human life. I want to go higher. It's over to Ron Lowe. Ariza dropped down. Kobe